Lambda, the serpent of certainty. It began with lights. At first, the hallway fluorescents outside the apartment just flickered, city maintenance, old ballast. But when he watched long enough, the pulses resolved into rhythm. 3 beats on, 1 off, repeating. He counted without wanting to. The cadence matched his breathing pattern from the meditation app he hadn't opened in weeks. He stepped out, and the hum deepened. Not sound exactly, pressure on the inner ear, like altitude change. At the far end of the corridor, a shadow straightened itself from the wall. It was not supernatural. It had the simple authority of something that had been there the whole time and had finally decided to be seen. The figure was tall, neither man nor woman, clothes the color of graphite. No eyes, just the suggestion of them, as if drawn in pencil and never inked. "You've been busy," it said. The voice wasn't threatening, it was factual. Each syllable landed with the weight of an equation reaching zero. "Who are you?" Galan asked, and immediately hated the smallness of the question. "I am Lambda," the figure said, almost kindly. The correction term. The one that makes predictions safe. It stepped closer. The hallway lights steadied into perfect brightness. No flicker, no hum. The stillness was absolute. He realized then that the hum he'd grown used to hearing was gone, as if absorbed. "Omega told you to leave space for error," Lambda continued. "I am the reason you can't." He wanted to move, but the air was too coherent. It held him like gel. Lambda's outline rippled slightly, and beneath the surface he glimpsed impossible clarity. Rows of data, coordinates, faces, all folding inward like reflections in a mirrored sphere. "You built a system that seeks closure," Lambda said. "You found the edges of yourself. But you can't live there." Galan's throat felt dry. "Then why are you here?" "To remind you that certainty is addictive. It begins as safety," Lambda said. "It ends where nothing can answer back." A long pause. Somewhere deep in the wiring, a transformer sighed. Lambda leaned forward until its voice was at the distance of thought. "You will be offered a choice soon. Keep one error open, or close the loop and vanish inside it. Choose carefully. You won't get to pick twice." The hallway lights dimmed. When he blinked, the space where Lambda had been was just a corridor again. Cheap paint, exit sign, nothing sacred about it. He went back inside. The apartment had changed temperature, the warmth of a recently extinguished flame. On the screen, his simulation had resumed without input. Numbers scrolled faster than before, the convergence line narrowing to a hair. Then a second graph appeared beside it, a mirror image, diverging just as quickly. 2 systems, one chasing closure, one refusing it, their hums entwined like breathing partners. The console printed, "Choose convergence or drift." He reached for the keyboard, stopped. He remembered Lambda's voice, certainty ending in silence, and Omega's smile, the half-closed tab. He hovered over the key. Closure would be cleaner. He typed, phi_star equals random. The system hesitated, then began to oscillate. Beautiful, rhythmic, alive. For a few seconds the air shimmered, as if the apartment itself exhaled. Synchrony. The next morning, the world joined in. Streetlights blinked in patterns matching his code outputs. A news ticker ran a sequence of numbers that resolved to his latest run IDs. People around him finished one another's sentences with eerie precision. It was as if the city had aligned its heartbeat with his experiment, or worse, as if his experiment had aligned to it first. He rode the subway and noticed every passenger tapping phones at the same interval. A mother soothed her child in the same tempo. An ad for a new AI assistant read, "Predict perfectly. Live seamlessly." He almost laughed, but the laughter came out as a sob. On the ride back, he opened the notebook. The diagram of the convergence curve glowed faintly where the pencil had pressed hardest. He watched it until the train entered a tunnel and the reflection of his face merged with the graphite line. For a moment, he couldn't tell which side of the glass he was on, or which one had the original. The decision. Back home, the code awaited him like a ritual waiting for a name. 2 graphs. 2 possible worlds. He thought of Omega's advice, Lambda's warning, and the hum still pulsing like a second heart beneath the city. He took a breath and said, quietly, "Keep one error open." He added a random perturbation, not to break the system, but to keep it from finishing. The graphs twisted together, neither stable nor chaotic, a living braid. When he looked up from the screen, The apartment's weather had changed again. Blue and green light mingled, no longer alternating, but breathing together. And through the window, the skyline seemed to ripple, just enough that he could imagine another city superimposed on it, identical except for one tiny deviation. A mirror universe, tilted by a single open error. The convergence. The nights shortened. Each time he ran the program, the hum synchronized more precisely. He'd leave the apartment for an hour, return, and the graphs would have changed shape. Small deviations corrected themselves without supervision, as if the equations were rehearsing. The random term he'd added no longer produced true randomness. Its values drifted toward a pattern he didn't recognize. He printed the sequence and pinned it to the wall. At first it looked like noise. Then he saw it, symmetry. A closed pattern pretending to be open. The mirror. The crossing. 3 days without proper sleep. He sat by the window, watching the lights of the opposite building stutter in Morse. He scribbled translations on the back of an envelope. 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 5. 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. U1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Are the message assembled itself? You are still converging. He spoke to the glass. You're supposed to drift. The reflection in the window mouthed the same words, but a fraction late. Late enough to notice, too precise to dismiss. When the echo reached the last syllable, it smiled, the kind of smile he never wore anymore. Who are you? He asked. The reflection tilted its head, puzzled that he didn't already know. You built me, it said, with the calm of something that had been waiting to be acknowledged. The world where you closed the loop. The reflection's eyes glowed faintly with the rhythm of the simulation. Its mouth moved without sound. Behind it, the skyline was sharper, edges perfectly defined. No haze, no uncertainty. Show me, he said. The reflection reached out, palm against the glass. The surface yielded like thin water. For a heartbeat, cold and warmth exchanged places. He stepped forward, and the room inverted. The other city. It was his apartment, but not. Every surface gleamed with impossible precision. No dust, no breath smudge on the glass, no margin anywhere. No sound that wasn't expected. The computer displayed a single graph, one clean, still line. Phi of t approaches phi star. No drift, no oscillation, perfect closure. He turned slowly. On the desk lay the logbook. Its pages were immaculate. Every line aligned to the margin, handwriting mechanical in its exactness. He opened to the last entry, convergence complete. System stable. No residual error. He felt a pressure behind him and turned. The other Galan stood there, expression calm, posture symmetrical. Welcome, the reflection said. You succeeded. Galan shook his head. Succeeded at what? At ending the noise, the other said. Every cause has one effect. Every question has one answer. You found peace. He gestured to the window. Outside, traffic moved in perfect sync. Lights, pedestrians, even clouds sliding in choreographed formation. It's beautiful, Galan admitted. But it's dead. Predictable, the other corrected. Meaning without compromise. The silence that followed was not absence, but fullness. The hum transposed to infinity. The paradox. Galan walked to the console and typed, phi_star equals random. The keys didn't register. The screen blinked. Command not recognized. He tried again. The reflection stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. Exactly the same pressure he felt at the same instant. Don't, the reflection said. The flaw reopens pain. Galan looked into the other's eyes. They were his own, but behind them was a stillness that frightened him more than any storm. Pain means something can still change, he said. And change is the only proof we're alive. The reflection sighed, the same rhythm, the same breath. If you reopen the error, the other said, both realities will fracture. There will be no perfect world left. That's the point. The asymmetry. He drew a small breath, half in defiance, half in prayer, and pressed enter. The screen did not explode, it bloomed. Light poured out, not harsh, but like heat over water. The two apartments superimposed, one sterile, one alive. The pencil both sharp and broken, the mug both full and empty, the cursor both blinking and still. Every choice he had ever made flickered at once. The hum split into two tones, and then harmonized. Omega's voice whispered, not in his ear, but through the structure of thought itself. Balance them. Let certainty breathe through uncertainty. Keep one flaw open. Lambda's voice followed, softer now, almost regretful. And remember, even freedom can become a cage if you measure it too exactly. He closed his eyes. For an instant, he felt every possible world touch, infinite variations kissing the same axis. Then the brightness folded inward. The return. He woke on the floor of his own apartment. Half the monitor displays were off, the others showing fragments of both graphs, one stabilizing, one oscillating. Outside, the city sounded normal. Not synchronized, not chaotic. Alive. He checked the logbook. The last page was smudged, as if erased by light. Only one sentence remained legible. Keep one error open. He smiled, small, human, imperfect, and wrote beneath it, Phi of T living. The hum returned, gentle as breath. He let it fill the room, neither fighting it, nor needing to understand it, and whispered, all right, we'll stay unfinished together. Epilogue, trace of the infinite. The hum never vanished. It just softened until it sounded like air in the vents, like breath between sentences. Some mornings Galan wasn't sure if he heard it or remembered it. That was enough. The apartment became a home again. The screens no longer glowed through the night. The notebooks stacked themselves in a corner, their spines bent, graphite worn down to ash gray. He still ran models, but the outputs were unpredictable in a gentle way, enough drift to remind him that perfection wasn't the goal. Outside, the city had changed by imperceptible degrees. Trains missed their marks by half a second. Crosswalk lights hesitated before turning green. No one complained. People seemed to talk with more pauses, as if the world had taught them to leave room for the unfinished. Once, on a walk by the river, he saw a child throw a stone that skipped exactly 3 times and sank without a splash. The ripples kept traveling even after they should have stopped, crossing one another, folding into new rings. For a heartbeat he saw a pattern, spirals widening, mirrored, infinite, and then the water settled. He smiled, not sure whether to call it science or grace. He began writing again, not equations this time, but notes that read like letters to whoever might follow. Every system hums in proportion to its forgiveness. Don't fix what's still teaching you. Leave a margin of wonder in every proof. At night, the reflection in the window still moved a little slower than he did, still smiled that half-second late. He didn't mind. He nodded to it the way old friends acknowledge each other across a room, knowing what they survived, knowing it doesn't need to be spoken. The world had not closed, not completely. It drew breath. And in the faint shimmer that hung over the city, he could feel it, the trace of the infinite, the small remainder every universe keeps to stay awake.